This episode is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Fiscally responsible, financial geniuses, monetary magicians. These are things people say about drivers who switch their car insurance to Progressive and save hundreds. Because Progressive offers discounts for paying in full, owning a home, and more. Plus, you can count on their great customer service to help you when you need it, so your dollar goes a long way. Visit Progressive.com to see if you could save on car insurance. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Potential savings will vary. Not available in all states or situations.
AI agents are everywhere, automating tasks and making decisions at machine speed. But agents make mistakes. Just one rogue agent can do big damage before you even notice. Rubrik Agent Cloud is the only platform that helps you monitor agents, set guardrails, and rewind mistakes, so you can unleash agents, not risk. Accelerate your AI transformation at Rubrik.com. That's RUBRIK.com.
BJ's Wholesale Club makes holiday hosting so easy, we called in Thanksgiving's original host to talk about it.
Pilgrim here. We could have used BJ's back in the day. Imagine stepping off a boat, then foraging for your first Thanksgiving. It's a whole new world now. BJ's brings Thanksgiving right to your door with free same-day delivery on your first order of $100 or more. We're talking turkey, squash, pies, all at prices so good they'll knock the buckle right off your hat.
For terms, visit bjs.com/Thanksgiving and get the same great savings online as in club.
This is your Chargers linebacker, Daiyan Henley, and you're tuning in with Chargers Unleashed.
Welcome to another edition of Chargers Unleashed. Jake Hefner and Daiyan Wolkenstein here with you from the LAFB Network. If this is your first time tuning in, make sure to hit that like, subscribe button on YouTube. You can also follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. Daiyan Wolkenstein, good morning to you. Good morning to everyone in the chat. It is a rainy early Saturday morning as we gear up for the Chargers' third straight AFC conference matchup, and this one's got a little bit of taste of revenge. You know what I'm talking about as they travel East Coast for the last time this season against the Jacksonville Jaguars. Dan, early start, 10 a.m. on Sunday. We got a lot to talk about as it relates to this matchup, what to break down. Dan Wolkenstein could use a pick-me-up. I will ask, sir, are you still on your first cup of coffee? Have you had any caffeine at all?
Nope.
Hence the lack of energy that Dan Wolkenstein is coming in with this morning. Good morning to everyone, as Dan Wolkenstein would normally be saying, what's going on, chat? What's everybody drinking? Obviously, Dan's not, so that's probably why he didn't ask that question as of yet. But thank you all for joining us. Obviously, we're going to have a good amount to talk about here over the next hour or so. Obviously, we'll be taking your questions, breaking down the offensive and defensive matchups, X factors for this game. Oh, Dan Wolkenstein, How many hours of sleep did you get last night?
Set the line. Set the line.
I'm gonna go 4.5.
Ooh, it's right around there. Yeah, I think it's right around there. Yeah. I'm feeling good. Honestly, I'm all right. It's all good. Nothing to bitch about on my end. Welcome to Chargers Unleashed live. Fake it till you make it. It is a wonderful Saturday morning here on the West Coast.
There
bright and 75 degrees. No rain, no showers, no clouds. No, that's not true. It's raining like crazy here in California, but it's all good. Folks in the chat, you know the drill. If you have any questions, comments, thoughts, topics. Put them in the chat. You'll know what to do, and we will do our best to sprinkle them in as we go. Can't believe this. The 7-3 Los Angeles Chargers playing the Jacksonville Jaguars. I don't know who they are, honestly. So we're at week 11, excuse me. Big game. I don't know if it's as big as last week, but damn, it feels close in terms of what the seeding means. There's a lot of history here. There's a lot of feelings, momentum, playoff implications.
That's the big one, Dan. They said that a win or a loss for either team in this particular game, because we know what the Chargers' playoff chances, how it increased last week against the Pittsburgh Steelers. Was with this particular game, they say it's the biggest swing for either team with a winner or a loss. So for the Chargers, if they win this game against Jacksonville tomorrow morning, it goes up to a 91%.
Actually, I took that screenshot because I was actually curious that was 91.
Yeah. And then if they lose, it goes down to like the 50s. And then for the Jaguars, it's
61.
like 61. And then for the Jaguars, I think it's currently in the 50s. And if they lose, it goes down to like single digits. For them, it's a huge swing.
I think they go down to either 24% playoff chances or up to 60%. And the Chargers go down to 61 or up to 91.
Crazy swing.
And the fact that, let's just take a second. We are talking about the Chargers having an opportunity to get to win number 8 in week 11.
Right before a much-needed bye.
Woo! Woo! Okay, so we got a live show. Jake, Chargers, Jags, week 11. We'll get to it in here in a second. Before we do that, we've talked about sleep and the lack thereof for a while here. Fitting, let's talk about a pick-me-up and our friends over at Sleeper.
Speaking of sleep, Dan, give me a minute on the Sleeper one because I've been asleep at the wheel, and I'll get to Sleeper in just a moment.
Perfect. I'll get to some of these comments here. Jose says, talk about that post that Jacksonville Jaguars social media posted on their Twitter.
Did you see that one, Dan?
I saw the reference to, I think it was Trevor Lawrence at the end of the game 2 years ago.
Basically, it was the just saying, the last time that we played the Chargers.
Yeah, there's a handful of Chargers that were on that team. It's amazing how much turnover there has been on this Chargers roster since then. But still, a lot of the leaders, Mack, Keenan, Justin, Derwin, and company, those folks remember this game that was and how awful that feeling was. I mean, that was brutal.
It's pretty bad.
That was pretty bad. And so the opportunity to right some of the wrongs, if you will, this Chargers team has an opportunity to do so. But again, I think that was, a few years ago, new team, new dynamic. This Jaguars team comes in a little beat up on offense. Both teams look different, honestly. And you saw this Chargers team go through what, in my opinion, was the toughest challenge yet, given the circumstances, in my opinion, against the Steelers. Come out of it somehow with a win. This will be huge. And the opportunity is there for the taking. Jake, are you awake with your ad read?
No. It's being so difficult that it's putting me to sleep trying to find it. So
okay, wonderful.
I'll get to it momentarily. I appreciate it though.
Okay, let's get some of these comments as well. Zion's looking young. Zion's having a good year.
Zion's looking young. Okay.
Yeah, looking spry, maybe.
Spry. Okay.
Jags win, Chiefs lose. The Jags are about to be done for the year. Ooh, Jake, if you're in charge,
Who are you rooting for?
Chiefs or the Broncos? Weirdly, I think I'm rooting for the Broncos.
Yeah. Honestly, here's my thoughts on this Denver Bronco Kansas City matchup. It's about time that someone else in the division gets to beat up on the other one. Okay? And yes, the Denver Broncos have obviously had their struggles offensively for their last 3 games. Their defense has been elite in keeping them in those games. And for the Chiefs coming into this one, it's an interesting matchup because, in my opinion, you can look at the Chargers defense when they played them early in the year, the Philly defense when they played them on early in the year. When the Broncos defense just plays anybody, Chargers included, they beat the crap out of opposing players. So by all means, these two teams still have to face each other twice before the season's over. If I were to lean any direction, obviously the Denver Broncos. Try to keep Kansas City down as long as possible would be nice.
Honestly, it would be nice, though, if the Chargers won and the Broncos lost, to go into the bye first in the AFC West. I get it. Week 11 in the books, and you are first place in the AFC West. That would be something. And again, considering the circumstances, that would be something. Emmanuel says, "What about a tie?"
Yeah, we don't bring up the tie verbiage anymore. Nope. I still have bad dreams about the tie verbiage that is used as it relates to this team.
Good call. Hugo Boss, let me grab my bar of soap from my mouth before I say this. I hope the Broncos win. I don't want the Chiefs to get the chance to take over the AFC West again. Yeah, that's fine.
Who does? Who would? A decade of hearing this crap. Nobody does, except Nick Wright. Nope. Speaking of people who are asleep at the wheel, including myself, the NFL season is here, which means you now have a chance to win up to 1,000 times your cash on daily fantasy football with Sleeper. Football has never been more exciting than it is right now with players like Patrick Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, Justin Herbert. Pick on these stats for these stars like touchdowns, passing yards, receiving yards, fantasy points, and more for up to 1,000 times payout on Sleeper. Get your picks right, and you could win big. Just use the promo code ChargersLAFB, and you'll get up to $100 matching your first deposit. Terms and conditions apply. See Sleeper terms of use for details. Currently operating in over 25 states. Check out Sleeper today.
Look, this Chargers game is a big one in Jacksonville. Weather shouldn't be an issue. I think it's supposed to be clear skies in the 70s. Shall we get to it?
Let's get into it, Dan. Where do you want to start? I will give you the decision and the floor to this one.
Well, before we get to the offense, defense versus each other and all that stuff, like 5,000-foot view, I just wanted to ask you. Like we've gone through, like, you know, history and all that jazz, avenging the loss, so to speak.
Yes.
But what's your thoughts going into this game, covering this Chargers team at 7-3? Are we here just as we expected? And what's your overall take on this matchup?
I think when you look about the potential to be 8-3 going into a bye with that type of a record, all things considered, when you're at left tackle 3, right tackle 3, running back 4, for everything that was essentially there to stabilize Justin Herbert from a run game standpoint, from an offensive line standpoint, we can obviously have our conversation still we're blue in the face about the interior. That's a different one, but nobody can account for the loss of Rashawn Slater and Joe Alt. And when you still think about where Justin Herbert is from a passing standpoint, being able to put his team on his shoulders with some of the pull down runs that he has made himself, the complementary weapons, I think, really is the biggest change in conversation from year 1 to year 2 and how everybody is playing out, because it's not that long ago. You go back to that Houston Texans game and you say to yourself, well, there was nobody on this team from a wide receiver standpoint that was capable of beating man coverage except Lad McConkey. And now you go out and you think about just the entire turn of this entire wide receiver room and the weapons that you have gotten in just one single offseason. Remember, it was supposed to be Mike Williams and Lad McConkey. And then Mike Williams suddenly retired. Then you bring in Keenan Allen to pair with Lad McConkey. You have Quentin Johnston in the midst of his best season, still on a rookie contract. The emergence of Tre Harris that you've gotten over the past several weeks. Obviously, the takeover by storm at the tight end position by Aronde Gadsden. Look, you compare that to what Justin Herbert had last year, and it's night and day. Because the whole narrative has now once again changed. It's not so much about the offensive line. That's obviously been there since he's been in the league, and you still got work to do. But in terms of the multiple weapons that you now have for Justin Herbert and what he can do and how he can pick apart a defense and how he's making those key decisions himself to extend drives and put it on his shoulders. It's incredible, to say the least, what he's been able to do when he has been the most pressured quarterback in the league right now. And the amount of time that he has to throw or make a decision or how many times he's getting hit. And the fact that he still has this team on literally the cusp of first place in the division, all things considered. And I don't care about strength of schedule because you've seen weaker teams, i.e. the Tennessee Titans, without some of their best players, be able to hit Justin Herbert 7 times, sack him 6 times, it was hit him 11 times, sack him 6 times. I don't care about the mediocre competition. You're going to see the same game plan from Jacksonville going into this game again in terms of how to exploit that Chargers defense, because everybody since week 3 has taken that exact same blueprint to do so. So it's not the way that you would have wanted to see the Chargers get here to this point in the season, and yet they still are. So you got to tip the hat to the coaching staff, to the players, obviously, at going out and executing, for players stepping up, such as Kamani Vidal, RJ Mickens, big-time rookies, obviously, and Tre Harris and Aronde Gadsden that have stepped up this year.
Yeah.
It's really a testament to the organization as a whole. So, yeah, it may not have been the path that we all foresaw to get to 7-3, potentially 8-3 here in just a short 24, 26-hour period. But here we are.
It's remarkable. It's remarkable. And I'm excited for this one. I think this is a good matchup for the Chargers, to be honest. Surprisingly, I think this Jags team is kind of, I don't want to say reeling, but just confusing, to be honest. So I'm looking forward to this. Jake, let's start with the Chargers offense versus the Jags defense. Now, you mentioned kind of the recipe. This Jaguars defense kind of has that recipe that gives Chargers fans fits. It gives this Chargers team fits, right? They got the good defensive front, got the good edges, interior, linebackers are good. I want to harp, and I want to kind of double click on what you had said that I think I remember saying early on in the offseason, or I think during preseason. This Chargers team last year, and I would go back even to the Jacksonville game, your offense needs one of 3 things, preferably 3, but at least one. You got to have weapons outside who can win quickly. You've got to have a good running game, and a good pass protection. Those are the 3 arms, if you will, to a successful offense. Now, it's not taking into account coaching. It's not taking into account defense, special teams. I'm just talking about offense effectiveness. Last year, they barely had one of those. Their offensive line was atrocious. They didn't have a running game. There were flashes with JK and company, but it was feast or famine. And it was Ladd, and that's all. And opposing teams knew it. You mentioned it this year, and I talked about it ad nauseum earlier in the season. I think this running game will be better. Can't really talk about the pass protection because it's down to, as you mentioned, tackles 3 on both sides and status quo interior. But the difference has been the weapons. And say what you will about the Chargers team not going out and getting more offensive line help. They chose door number 2, which was give Justin Herbert some weapons. And maybe this is door number 2, and door number 3 will come next year in the draft and free agency, but those weapons are shining through. You're seeing Tre Harris, both in receiving and in the running game, with protection coming through. You're seeing the Keenan Allen addition paying huge dividends. Rodney Gaston, you mentioned, becoming a star in front of our eyes. Ladd, still Ladd. Quentin, developing. Kamani Vidal in the run game, still there. Say what you will about the pass protection. The Chargers' offensive line in the run game specifically has looked pretty darn improved over this past month or so. A, they have weapons, and B, Greg Roman is actually starting to lean into that and how to get those guys involved quickly. Key term, quickly. So you saw last week a lot of the smoke routes, a lot of the screens, a lot of stuff that goes horizontally that I talked about after the game. The run game was working. Their defense played great. That's the recipe. Like, I'm curious the Trevor Penning stuff. That'll be interesting. We saw him as the tackle on the left side in practice this week. But if you end up getting the status quo offensive line, I think your recipe for success the rest of the way is play great defense, take care of the football, run the rock, and let Justin be Superman 5 to 10 times a game. If you rely on him to be Superman 50 plays, that's bad. It's bad. And I think they have a chance to do that this season, this game against the defense of Jacksonville. And honestly, do I think this Chargers team is a Super Bowl contender right now? Honestly, no, I don't. But that's just me. I could be wrong. That's just me. But I can see the path to victories and to make some noise if they continue to play the way they play that in Pittsburgh, against Pittsburgh. If the offense can do enough and the defense can shine, I like the chances. Two big ifs. But right now, Jesse Minter is going ballistic. Defense is looking great. Secondary is looking awesome. That trio of Owe, Tuli, and Mack have been awesome. The defensive front has been awesome for this Chargers defense as of late. Causing turnovers, 3 and outs. And when the Chargers offense takes care of the football, I like it. So that's the offense versus the Jacksonville defense for me. Quick. Get the ball to your guys in space and get it to them early. So you saw Tre Harris out wide. You saw Quentin Johnston out wide. You saw Keenan and Ladd, who are great winning quickly. You can take your opportunities when you want, sparingly downfield. You get a run game, all that stuff works. So I don't want anything cute. Like, make this thing just look efficient. Keep Justin healthy. Like, that should be the theme. Whatever the offense is, do it in a way that can keep Justin healthy, and you should be fine. Justin can make magic happen if you keep him healthy. So can these pass catchers. So, long tangent. I'm sorry.
Yeah, Dan, the interesting thing about the Jacksonville defense is that they're 8th in pass rush win rate, but they're like towards the bottom of the league in terms of actually finishing sacks. So it's like they win their one-on-one matchups, but they don't get as home as much as they should when they rush the passer. So it'll be interesting to see, again, with a different offensive line combination. This would be technically your 16th different offensive line combination that you have had on the season, which is just absolutely wild. The big focus obviously will be around Trevor Penning and what he was able to do at the left tackle spot. I would assume it would be somewhat of an upgrade over what we've seen from Austin Deculus. It's hard to get any worse than that, especially from what you saw last week against Pittsburgh, although he did have some good moments in those particular matchups. But I would assume in this particular case, and especially as Dan kind of alluded to, Kamani Vidal has definitely stepped up here over the last few weeks. And yes, it maybe has been an inconsistent type of run for him. You look at what he did against the Vikings and then what he did against the Titans, and those are two polar opposite different things. But then he comes back really strong against the Pittsburgh Steelers. But I think you're going to lean on that once again. And you're going to try to find ways to attack this defense on the ground. Again, I think the Chargers ended up running the ball. I think it was Kamani Vidal had 25 runs last week. I think they're going to try to employ that same exact type of formula with a high volume of Kamani Vidal. And hopefully, obviously, you're going to be able to open up the holes with this makeshift offensive line. And hopefully for Trevor Penning's sake, one of the things that he is at least positive at, whichever positive you want to take out of this, is that he's definitely a better run blocker than he is a pass blocker. So maybe you can get some of those design runs going to the left as opposed to the right or up the center. But wherever it is, I think that that's one way to easily neutralize this Jacksonville Jaguars pass rush. On the flip side of that, Dan, in the passing game, I personally think, and I know that he was officially questionable for this game, but I think Quentin Johnston ends up playing, and I think that he's actually going to be a big factor as it relates to this offense. I know Keenan obviously had his record-breaking day last week. Ladd had a tremendous game against the Pittsburgh Steelers, but I think this is Quentin Johnston's game to shine against this secondary, because when Justin Herbert gets time, and I think he should be able to get time in this particular matchup in some circumstances, as long as that interior holds up, I think you're going to find Quentin Johnston in a lot of favorable situations downfield.
Yeah, I hope so. And you're probably right. I hope Quentin plays. I think he does as well. This Chargers team, I think, has an opportunity to sustain drives. I mean, Jacksonville gives up, I think, the third highest third down conversion rate in the NFL. Only the Cowboys and Bengals are worse than them. 45% third down conversion percentage allowed. Not great. Red zone percentage, defense, 66.7%. That's fifth worst in the NFL.
That's one that the Chargers should exploit, because we knew that just up until a couple of weeks ago, I think it was up until that Minnesota game, the Chargers were bottom of the league in red zone offense. And then thankfully, over the last few weeks, you've seen that trend on the uptick. So I would hope that would be something that they would be able to exploit, especially when they get inside the 20s.
You would think. And to your point, like the Jacksonville defense, it does try to bring, I say pressure in air quotes, right? Like manufactured. But like, it's not, they bring pressure, but they don't really get home as much. Kind of like what you were alluding to. So I'm not sure how scared I am, other than the fact that the Chargers offensive line has been bad. Like, if it was the Chargers offensive line being like great, I'm like, we're chilling.
Other than the fact that Tennessee got home plenty of times against Justin Herbert.
Yeah.
It's like, you literally, this is the same, I mean, old news. This is the same conversation that we're going to be having for the duration of the season. Spoiler alert. If you're not expecting that, I don't care who the team is. The 1-win Tennessee Titans, if the Chargers played the Jets this year, for crying out loud, even after the trade deadline and missing Quincy Williams, I would still be talking about this as a weak point. Because if you're able to see some of the worst defenses in the league exploit this offense, you're going to be able to see better ones do it every single week. So this is something that the Chargers are going to have to progressively chip at getting better at over the next several weeks as you try to make a postseason run.
This Chargers offense is going up against the Jags defense that has the least amount of sacks in the entire NFL.
Nothing will surprise me anymore as it relates to this offensive line.
Fair.
Until I see different.
12 sacks total this season. That's about one a game.
Yeah. They do not get home. They don't get home.
Literally last in the NFL. Comparison, the Chargers have 29 on the season. And the other way, Broncos have 46. And they got 12. So they blitz about 20% of the time. I'm looking at the numbers here. 25.5% of the time. Hurry percentages, 9.1. Only 12 sacks. Not great. So the Chargers offense has an opportunity. It's right there for them. Dick, who on Jacksonville's defense are you most concerned about?
I'm interested to see how the Chargers will try to deploy the middle of the field on this one. That's probably where the Jaguars are the strongest. And when you look at guys like Devin Lloyd, who's having a great season, Dennis Gardeck for them, I think they're pretty strong in the middle of the field. Whereas other matchups that we've seen over the last few weeks, you can see weakness in the middle of the field for them. But the good thing is that the Chargers have a multitude of different weapons to clear out the middle of the field and get somebody open. I mean, you saw that plenty of times last week when Greg Roman went back to the inside cuts of Ladd McConkey. And it was the same formations where him and Keenan Allen were paired up right next to one another. Quentin Johnston was one-on-one on the other side of the field. And then you had a combination of either Rondé Gadsden or Tucker Fisk basically just clearing out the space. Like, you have the horses to do this. But I would say if you're going to attack any part of the field, it should be the boundaries, really, if you're just looking at this at face value. But I guarantee you they're going to look to pick apart that middle of the field, especially if they follow what Dan was saying in terms of quick passes, getting it out quickly, find those open spots of green in the middle of the field, and just move the ball at a 5-yard clip. I don't care. Just keep Justin Herbert upright. I think Dan's on mute.
Thank you. I would say from Eddie, Jaguars are the strength. Jaguars' only strength on defense is they get takeaways. I don't know if I agree with that. Someone else asked, where does the Jags defense rank in terms of run defense? 5th best in yards allowed, 91.7. Hard to run on them. So that quick passing game is going to be key. It's going to be key. Petting might add something in the run game. You want to build off what you saw from Mekhi Becton, from Daiyan Johnson, from Trey Pipkins last week. I'm not going to mention guy in the middle. The run offense is going up against a defense that's good against the run. But the Chargers have the weapons and the quarterback to take advantage. Like, the biggest variable to me is, will Greg Roman lean into it? If we get a stubborn Greg Roman, they are in trouble. If you get the Greg Roman that we saw against Pittsburgh, honestly, since the second half of the Colts game, they should be okay. It should be okay. Anything else on this Chargers offense versus Jags defense before we get to the other side?
No, I think that wraps it up.
All right, let's flip it. Jacksonville offense versus the Chargers defense. Trevor Lawrence is kind of feast or famine. Not sure the status of Brian Thomas. I think he's questionable. Travis Hunter ain't playing. He's on IR. They bring in Jacoby Myers, who we all know very well.
Brenton Strange, their tight end that they absolutely love. That's another one. He was limited through practice Wednesday and Thursday, did not end up practicing yesterday. He's officially been ruled as out. Hunter Long, another one of their tight ends, is out. Dan, another one that's pretty significant, and this is where we'll get into the pass rush of everything. Their offensive lineman, Anton Harrison, is out for this game, which we all talked about the Chargers having their offensive line problems. This is going to add a little bit of a wrinkle to the Jacksonville Jaguars as far as their tackles goes, because Harrison arguably was their best tackle that they had coming into this lineup. I'm not sure who's necessarily going to be the replacement, but Walker Little, the left tackle for them, has struggled throughout this year. So you should be able to see the trio of Khalil Mack, Tuli, and Owe be able to win some of their battles and get pressure on Trevor Lawrence in this game.
Yeah, Cole Van Lanen, I believe, is their second man up for right tackle position. So here's the thing, and I'm starting to realize this more and more. Like, the Chargers' offensive line issue is a problem, right? Clearly. But the Chargers' offensive line isn't the only offensive line with problems. And so, for example, look at last week, right? Like, the Pittsburgh Steelers' offensive line wasn't great, and they had their fair share of issues as well, and the Chargers' defense took advantage of that. So, Jacksonville, I'm not saying Jacksonville's offensive line issues are as bad as the Chargers, but they're not great. I think this Chargers defense is much better than Jacksonville's. And so I like the Chargers defense's chances of taking advantage of that offensive line and of the loose lips of Trevor Lawrence, so to speak. I think he'll give the Chargers opportunities to take the ball over. Like, I really do. So if you, and I say this every week, and I'm sure it's a broken record, but man, don't give up the easy ones.
Yes.
This Chargers defense, when they make the opposing offense go down the field in the 15-play drive, like, they just don't score touchdowns often. But if they get one of those, like, 4 plays, 76 yards and touchdown type drives, that's when problems arrive. And so if they could just play, you remember Bill Belichick back then, just do your job, right? Fundamentally sound, nothing too high, nothing too low, just play your role. I think this Chargers team on defense should be okay. I like the secondary. I think Cam Hart has been playing awesome. They get Tar Heap still back. Derwin James and Elijah Molden. That's a good defense right there. Dante Jackson has been playing awesome so far this season.
Give me some more Nico Reed and RJ Mickens, please.
And I don't know how much Nico Reed is going to be playing this week because Tar Heap still's back. I don't know.
I know Tar Heap put in a full practice yesterday, which is a very encouraging sign, given his recovery time when it was originally projected. But he's still officially listed as questionable. But you probably lean towards him playing in this game.
If Tarheeb still plays, I don't know how much as good as Nico Reed's been. Like, he's been clutch. I think Tarheeb still's better. And you just look at that secondary. I mean, who's he going to take? Who's going to replace? I don't know. So Denzel Perryman has been huge in the run defense. Getting Deshaun Hand back has been massive.
Yes.
That interior defensive front with Hand, Jones, Caldwell, Tart, Aboigbe even at times. Like, they've been good. So I like this Chargers defense against this offense. I really do. Like I said at the top, I think this is a good matchup for the Chargers. Can they take advantage of it? I'm not sure. Like, to me, like, Brian Thomas, questionable. He's been hurt for a bit. I don't know if he's playing. They got Tim Patrick. They got Jacoby Myers. Like, I'm a little nervous of Bayshal Tutin, honestly. He's fast. Like, if he gets the ball out in space, like, that kind of worries me a little bit. I talked about Jacoby Myers, but, like, I think the Chargers' offensive weapons are better. I think the Chargers' defensive secondary, I think, matches up. I think they are better than the opposing offense for the Jaguars. So it's like if the Chargers just play their part, they should win.
This is an interesting matchup, Dan, and just to the game as a whole. Obviously, the Jacksonville it might just be a team in desperation mode right now that really just needs a win,
Totally.
Especially after giving up a fourth quarter lead the way that they did in a very, very ugly loss last week against a divisional opponent. The other wrinkle in this, Dan, is I'd be interested to see how Jacksonville goes about deploying their game plan. Because if we all remember the Chargers versus Tampa Bay last year, that was when Liam Cohen was the offensive coordinator of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And if you remember that game in the first half, it was relatively close. And then by the time that you got to the second half, it was pretty much Tampa Bay in a runaway because Bucky Irving just kept running the ball down your throat. And as Dan mentioned, you have two very capable running backs when they are able to get opportunities in Travis Etienne and Bayshal Tutin. I'd be interested to see if Liam Cohen deploys the same type of mentality, and I would assume that he'd almost be forced to because of the fact that you may not have Brian Thomas-Jones. Yes, you have Jacoby Myers, but you're not going to have Brenton Strange and some of your other weapons out there that you'd like to see. But I've always said the quickest way to get rid of a team's running game, get a lead. Jump out to an early lead. Make it a one-dimensional game. Make Trevor Lawrence beat you in this particular matchup, which I think you can do. But I'd be interested to see how Liam Cohen goes about deploying an offensive game plan here.
I don't know if my eyes are deceiving me, but the Chargers defense is dead last in third down percentage allowed. Is that right? 47.6%.
In third down percentage allowed?
I don't know. Maybe
I'm not sure which one you're reading there.
I know. It doesn't seem right.
They were damn good last week on third down. That's for sure.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
It's pretty much over until a garbage time drive for Pittsburgh.
I may have to refresh that. But the Chargers defense, honestly, like, again, I like where they're at. Someone check me on that. Chargers third down percentage defense.
I don't believe it's last. Don't believe it's last.
That doesn't seem right, does it?
I'm not sure where you're getting those ones from.
Okay, well, I shouldn't say that. Jake, anything else on this side of the ball before we get to predictions and comments?
That's funny. I was just looking over it again just to see if there was anything that I missed in terms of just potential matchups here that you can exploit. We'll get into it when we get into the next segment here for X Factors and talk about it, because there's definitely one matchup on here that I think is going to be a huge factor for the pass rushers going up against this Jacksonville Jaguars offensive line.
I read that wrong.
Aha. So what is it?
It's the Chargers offense. That was the highest. Told you it's early. No caffeine.
That's kind of a big difference there, Dan.
Okay, I'm like, there's no way this is right. Chargers
but
offense.
Thank you for fact checking yourself.
Chargers offense. Right. 47.6%. Second best in the NFL.
That's
just
better.
Behind the Packers.
That's better.
Phew. Okay, I was like, wait, this doesn't make sense. Hold on. Something's not right.
It definitely didn't make sense.
No. Chargers defense. Let me just go make sure that I have this correct here. Hold on. On the fly. Hold, please. They are fourth best. 34.2. There we go. There we go. That's better. I mean, this Jaguars offense is ready to be beaten.
You still haven't had your caffeine, have you?
No, literally no. I've had none.
Might need to adjust that. Might need 3 cups today, Wolkenstein.
I probably will. Jaguars offense, just for reference, their offense conversion percentage, 7th worst. 36.4.
It's so interesting to see the turnout. And you've seen it with a couple of teams in certain matchups where it's like you go back to the Kansas City game when Jacksonville ended up upsetting them, and then just to see everything kind of just fall off the last several weeks, and they haven't been the same. Or you look at Green Bay going up against Aaron Rodgers, and seemingly the last 2 weeks for the Packers, it has not been the same. Or you look at the Buffalo Bills against Kansas City, who just look like game wreckers, and then they drop one in a horrible fashion to the Miami Dolphins. Crazy to think just the turnarounds. It's not the time that you want to be going backwards right now, but hey, it's how people respond.
Yeah, Penning and Hart.
The Chargers have responded pretty well over the last 3 weeks.
Penning and Hart aren't that bad of a replacing duo. We'll see. I mean, they're certainly not Slater and Alt, which, again, that's hard to compare. But Bobby Hart played pretty good. And there's upside there for Trevor Penning for sure, but tape doesn't lie, and so far he hasn't been great. He's been better against the run, but I think the Chargers staff is hoping that they can bring the best out of him.
You might have to wait with the bye, you might have to wait another 2 weeks to see the tandem of Trevor Penning and Bobby Hart work together. That would make it the 17th offensive line combination whenever that ends up coming out. But hey, I will say that Minnesota game, if that is the Bobby Hart that we get moving forward when he ends up returning, Chargers just happen to have a knack for taking guys off the couch and that have not started. I mean, look at what they've done with Tony Jefferson. And now look what they're doing with Bobby Hart, who hadn't started a game in 3 years. Had a very difficult first game back as a starter, that's for sure. But I thought he responded very, very well in that game against Minnesota. So if that's the Bobby Hart in the mold that we're going to be getting back, then absolutely I will agree with that to say that you could have some stability there at the tackle position. I'm not going to say to the level of what, because we haven't seen it play yet. So I'm not going to make any type of assumptions. But at least from the standpoint of us seeing Bobby Hart play at the right tackle spot, I like the direction of where that's going.
Yeah. I mean, it's better than when they were at their wit's end and had, I mean, they were They're in shambles. They're not out of it yet. Girthy guitarist. We have an entirely different coaching staff, so I don't view it as a revenge game. But I would expect Justin Herbert or some of the defensive players to show a little pride.
100%. And you've already heard this. I think probably Khalil Mack said it best. Because he says, you don't always think about it, but you bring that feeling out when it's necessary. So Justin Herbert hasn't forgotten about it because seemingly nobody in the media wants to let him forget about it.
Of course.
And you damn well know what Khalil Mack is all about. And any type of motivation that he needs to get up for a game, it's not much, but he'll take every other little addition that he can. So, yeah, the players that were there for that playoff matchup, they haven't forgotten. They know what it's about, and they know the umbrella that put over this team in the narrative scope of everything.
Yep. Yeah, we got about 15 minutes here. We'll go through some questions. We'll go through some predictions. Chargers hotline as well. Jake, question from Eddie. Is this the best offensive line going forward? Trevor Penning at left tackle, Daiyan Henley at left guard, Bradley Bozeman, Mekhi Becton, and Bobby Hart. Bobby Hart one's a question mark.
The best you got?
Yeah.
The best you can get? I will reserve. I've essentially been very outspoken about a certain position going all the way back to the offseason and what I would like to see if the bad play continued from someone who will remain listed as Voldemort for right now.
Bradley Voldemort?
Yes. Do I think that it's the best offensive line? It's hard to tell because we haven't even seen this combination play yet, and we're probably not going to see it until after the bye. Just know that you're not going to get a good, consistent pass blocking, run blocking offensive line for the remainder of the season. Could it improve as a whole? Little by little, sure. But I don't see it making leaps and bounds of an improvement where you just take the drop off of what you had, and given the struggles in the interior collectively, it's just a really hard thing to predict right now. Got to take yourself off mute there again, Dan. I know. You really need that caffeine.
Man, I'm struggling. Jake, what happened with the early draft talk last week? Asked Emilio Huerta. You guys never got to it. How about today? Love you guys. BTFU. Jake, let's get a little teaser.
So you may have heard it wrong because I have not forgotten about the draft talk. But I've pitched this to Dan Wolkenstein, especially with this comment right here. Now I'm just going to press for it to actually happen. Chargers have a bye next week. What are you guys doing on Sunday? Nothing? Sitting on your couch, relaxing, watching football with a cold beverage, most likely. I know I will be.
Bye week Sunday? Next Sunday?
Bye week Sunday. So obviously we'll talk about where the Chargers are at that point in time, but I've been pressing Dan Wolkenstein for many, many years in terms of getting draft talk in the conversation a little bit earlier. Mm-hmm. And if you've been following me and what I've been putting up a lot lately, I've been trying to put in as much tape time as I can on college prospects before my time really gets occupied.
And why is that? And why is that? Let's just talk about that for a second. Why is that?
That's because my daughter will be arriving at the end of January. So I need as much time.
Say it again.
My
Jake's
daughter
will be arriving. Goosebumps.
So I need as much time as I can. But believe me, during those nap times, it's gonna be gone. Don't worry about that. But I just need to get as much as I can out. So in terms of early draft talk, no, it has not been forgotten. And most likely, screw that. It absolutely will take place on next week's show during the bye because we got a lot of open air time to talk about it. Why not talk about it? Okay. Week 12 of the season, I think we can kind of pinpoint what the Chargers are going to need in the offseason. Let's go.
Real quick, Jake. X factors on offense for the Chargers. Who are they?
Number one right here. We got to see what Trevor Penning is like. I'm interested to see, especially just he gets that extra week of sitting just to get acquired with the offense. It can't really be worse than what we've seen from Austin Deculus this season. Whatever your reservations or opinions might be on Trevor Penning, I'd like to see an improvement from him. And I think if the Chargers implement their game plan and are able to execute it properly, especially in the run game, this could be exactly what they want from Trevor Penning to get that running game going to the left side for a change. Get some of those holes open on that side. Make yourself multiple in terms of where you're able to win your matchups in the run game to open those holes for Kamani Vidal. And yeah, when it comes to pass blocking, that's really the big question mark is what are we going to see from Trevor Penning when it comes to protecting Justin Herbert? So yeah, I would like to see some of that.
Jeremy Williams, this Jags game will feel good for all of us. Jags whooped us twice that year. People forget about that. Can't wait. Definitely a revenge game. Stay bolted. Jake, for X Factors on offense, the Chargers, I mean, again, the obvious is Justin and just the offensive line in general. I'm not going to go Kamani, although he's been awesome so far. To me, I think it's going to have to be those quick catchers. And I'm Quentin, I think it's going to be, I thought about Gadsden, but like, I think it's more important that he get it out quick on the outside. And so this is like a Keenan Ladd game. And so this might be the Keenan game. Be ready for the bold predictions later. X Factors on.
It's funny because I like that Dan actually brought that up. Remember how everybody said that the Chargers just didn't give a crap about Quentin Johnston when he didn't receive a catch just a couple of weeks ago because everything was going to everybody else and Oronde Gadsden was just flaming people during that game? Well,
what do we say?
Yes, exactly. It's like, no, it's not. Like, who gives a shit? That means the Chargers can beat you in a multitude of different ways with a variety of different players. Well, Keenan now has the record, got that in his back pocket, got his 2 catches last week. I think you're going to see a nice little bump there for Keenan in this one. I would agree.
A bunch of letters here. We're going to pick at 32, so BPA. That's right.
Love the confidence. Love the confidence.
Oh, man. Eddie says, let's get to 8-3. Hugo Boss, and enjoy the bye week. Again, could you imagine? High-pitched voice and all. Could you imagine? 8-3.
All things considered.
If the Broncos lose, what?
All things considered.
No one thought 8-3. Not even a Thier thought 8-3 going into the bye healthy. I mean, that'd be wild. X factor on defense, Jake.
Deshaun Hand. I think his return last week against the Pittsburgh Steelers could not have been more, at the time, understated, but when you see what he was able to produce against Pittsburgh and how he helped out the rest of that defensive line, I don't think that his return can be overstated at this point in terms of what he gives you as an interior presence on the pass rushing front. We all know about Tyler Tart. We all love the emergence of Jamari Caldwell. Speaking of which, Dan, do you know that Jamari Caldwell, I think, is number 10 or 11 as it relates to defensive linemen that have faced double teams or triple teams? That's how much focus. Yes, that's how much focus opposing offensive linemen are putting on him because they know what he can do when he can win one-on-one matchups. So keep that in mind. But I think Deshaun Hand returning has just been, again, as Dan likes to say, a force multiplier, especially on the defensive line and especially when it comes to shoring up an opponent's run game, figuring out ways to break holes up the pocket, get to the quarterback, put pressure on him, totally change the whole plan as far as what an offensive play is going to look like. Just what's the term? It's like he's the fuck up person. He can fuck up everything for opposing offenses. Yeah, Deshaun Hand is just going to not only make his own opportunities, but he's going to give others opportunities as well.
Yeah, I like your interior defensive line for X Factor for sure. If you make Trevor Lawrence beat you, like I think you're going to be okay. Like, don't let the other guys beat you. Don't let his pass catchers beat you. Don't let the running game beat you. But make him be precision passer to beat you. And I think you got a shot. And you do that by getting the run just stuff from the jump. I like that a lot. Jake, let's get to some of these voicemails real quick. We got 2 of them this week. Let's see what they have to say. First voicemail.
Hey, guys. Chargers Bolt Pride Worldwide coming to you from Chicago.
Bolt Pride Worldwide. Brings me back to Step Brothers.
Prestige.
Worldwide.
Wide. Last week we put liquid paper on a bee, and it died.
Looking at the injury report, it's looking pretty good. All the guys are looking great. Even the ones that did not practice, they're still going to play. I mean, you can see what's going on there, and it looks great for once. Also, hopefully that O-line holds them, and I can see a really big day for Justin because their backfield's a little hurt. So let's see what Justin can do. 38-17, Bolts. Bolt up.
38-17, Justin goes crazy. That would feel good. That would feel real good.
Mm-hmm.
Next voicemail, Jake. See what they can say.
Good afternoon, Dan and Jake. I'm calling this back the second time, so I'm not sure if my first message came out clearly or not. But I want to thank you guys for doing great work on the Chargers podcast. I consider you guys one of the best ones that are out there.
Wow.
I want to tell you,
Thank you.
Hey,
Appreciate that very much.
He's lying. It's not even 10 o'clock on a Saturday.
I know Dan's not hopped up in caffeine, but he can still smell bullshit whenever it happens to fly.
Well,
no, seriously, thank you. Appreciate that.
looking forward to watching the Jaguars again this Sunday because you know what? It's going to be a thank you game. I say this because they beat us a few years ago. Without that time when they came from behind and beat us, we wouldn't have Harbaugh and Ortiz. So thank you, Jaguars, for beating us a few years ago. But don't expect to beat us this Sunday. We're going to get you back. But it won't be a revenge game, but thank you game, because without your victory that Sunday, or whenever you beat us the last time in the playoffs, we wouldn't have Jim Harbaugh or Joe Ortiz. So thank you.
Like we said, Dan, coaching staff may be different. Those coaches may not have been around for it, but the players haven't forgotten about it. It's the underlying message here, and obviously it's underlying because why else would you see the Jacksonville Jaguars, of all things, decide to put up on social media? Well, the last time that we played the Chargers here in Duval, nobody's forgotten it. Even the players on Jacksonville haven't forgotten. So, it's there.
Chris asks, why do you think the D looks so bad versus Indy?
Well, you didn't have certain players in that particular game. And all things considered, you're going up against one of the best offensive lines in the league who just kicked the living shit out of you. Let's just be honest. Yep. And Jonathan Taylor, who is in the MVP running, and rightfully so.
I mean, honestly, I think he's a front runner by a lot.
I mean, they just were able to do whatever they wanted to Jesse Minter. And again, you go back and you talk about those moments where you respond. That Indy game it was only a month ago, but it seems like forever ago, given the turnaround that you've seen defensively. And remember those comments from Lad McConkey and from the defense as a whole when they came back in that short turnaround against the Minnesota Vikings. They said everybody was just pissed. They were done. You had that 1-3 stretch between the Giants, Commanders, Dolphins, and Indianapolis Colts. That was a rough month for the Chargers. And I did the stat on this, Dan. In that 4-game period where they went 1-3, the Chargers defense was giving up an average of 28.5 points per game, 28.25 points per game. And then look at what they've done since. They've only allowed an average of 8.6. Like, that is a combination of players returning, younger guys stepping up, see RJ Mickens, see Nico Reed, and Jesse Minter getting back to his bag. The acquisition of Dafe Owe giving you a force multiplier when it comes to giving Jesse Minter 3 edge rushers again, much like he had when Joey Bosa was on this team.
Give Ortiz props
huge.
For that, man.
It's huge. And Khalil Mack coming back has just been a shot of adrenaline in the arm to this entire team, not just on defense, but to the entire team. So a lot of factors went in to that Indy game. Also, Khalil Mack only played 12 snaps.
Apparently, a theory had 13-4, not like me. He is incorrectly saying that I predicted 9-8. That is not what I said. Go back, check the tape. It's all good. Girthy guitarist, 8-3 with this offensive line is as good as you're going to hope.
Exactly.
If the defense hadn't shit the bed versus the Giants, we'd be in the hunt for the 1 seed. We still are in the hunt for the 1 seed, which is wild. Absolutely insane. People are talking about a Boygby being big. Do you guys think we're undefeated if we had Slater and Alt this whole season?
No, I will not say undefeated.
The defense still gets rocked by the Colts.
Yeah, there's nothing that you can do about that. Look, even the Buffalo Bills, who statistically had the easiest schedule this year, and look at some of the struggles that they've been going through in patches. You bum rush the Kansas City Chiefs and look like you're back to form in terms of being one of the best teams in the AFC, and then you drop a absolutely embarrassing fashion the following week to the Miami Dolphins. Any given Sunday, man, there's no way that you can account for that. So no, I would not say that the Chargers would be undefeated. May you be in a lot more better conversations in terms of Justin Herbert and his performance and not getting hit, and this team as a whole in terms of record-wise. Yeah, I will believe that. I will definitely believe that. But undefeated, no, can't say that.
Yeah, the two games that I think would probably be shift. I think they still have a loss, but I think the Commanders game I think goes differently with Joe Alton, Rashawn Slater, and obviously the Giants game goes differently.
Obviously the Giants game, sure.
Yeah. So I can see them with 2 more wins, but not undefeated. No. Let's see. I think the Patriots get the 1 seed because they get to play the Jets, Dolphins. Bills aren't great.
Which, speaking of the Patriots, I'm not sure if you saw the news, Dan, when we've been recording the show. Milton Williams, who obviously was one of their big free agent acquisitions in the offseason, he's going to be out for the next few weeks due to a high ankle sprain. Something to keep in mind for when the Chargers have to play the Patriots here in the next few weeks.
Any given Sunday is the only thing that scares me about this Jags team.
Hey, I didn't expect the Tennessee Titans' first 14 points in that game to be acquired by a pick 6 from Justin Herbert. And of all things, Ryan Fitkin's special teams letting him down and allowing a punt return? Or was it a kickoff return? I can't remember. But that was how they got their first 14 points. It was about as Charger-esque as you could imagine. In reality, that defense only gave up 6 points. And somehow that ended up being a 1-score game when it was all said and done. It was extremely bizarre.
Thayer with $5 donation. I want the Chiefs to win against the Broncos. Because if Denver wins, we are screwed. We cannot make up one game until we play them, and the race is over for the Chiefs. Disagree. That's okay. $2 donation by Darkstar50. Revenge game factor and a better coach, 30-10. Jake, let's get to it. Predictions. Bolden game.
I know everybody would love to, make these like 2-score game predictions, these 38-10s, these 30-10s that we're seeing and all of this. I still think, again, you didn't expect the Tennessee Titans game to be as close as it was. And I'm not saying it as an indictment against the Chargers or anything of that nature for the way that they're playing right now, because it's really, really good. But the ramp that we still went on any given Sunday, and also I think that the Jacksonville Jaguars are going to want to get a bad taste out of their mouth from their performance last week and the way that they gave up that game.
Yep.
Chargers are also have, morning breath essentially for the last 3 years as it relates to this game that they want to get out of their mouth. So I definitely still see the Chargers winning. I think it'll be closer than what you expect it'll be. I'm going to go 28. I'm going to go 28-20 in this game.
28-20 Chargers, I'm assuming.
Yes.
I'm thinking 27-17 is kind of where I'm going. Peter's got 27-16. There's a bunch of bold predictions in here. Chris says 27-17. Brad's got 32-10. 27-10 says Eddie. 35-9 says Emmanuel with the forced fumble.
I hope that all of this is correct, by the way. I hope that it absolutely just trumps my prediction.
30-13. I mean, there's a bunch of blowout wins here predicted for the Chargers. But it's hard winning in the NFL, man. And again, any given Sunday, it's a good point. But boy, the juxtaposition of a win versus a loss going into the bye is so insane.
Huge.
And 8-3 going into the bye week.
See, it's a good feeling when you think of what you've lost given to this point. And then to think about what you can get in return after the bye week, namely someone who dons the number 8, would be a very nice return to form. And you know what? That's maybe the best thing possible that's come out of this Kamani Vidal run for him, and how he's been able to step up in the absence of Omarion Hampton, is that I think you now have a very comparable, maybe not as good as you had it when you had Najee Harris and Omarion Hampton, but to have Kamani Vidal the way that he's been playing now to pair him with Omarion Hampton when he eventually comes back, I think you got two guys of very different styles of football from a run game perspective that you could throw a lot at a defense. And eventually you'll get Hassan Haskins back into this as well. But think about this. For a running back 4 to essentially step up in the way that he has over this stretch of games, when we were talking about the trade deadline and the possibility of Breece Hall being traded to the Chargers, and they didn't do it because Kamani Vidal gave them a reason not to. And now you're on the cusp of going into the bye week, getting guys back, getting healthier as a team overall to make a good, strong push in this last 5-game stretch of the season. I think it's a very good testament to Kamani Vidal and the rest of the team that they have been able to get to this point at 8-3, all things considered, with injuries.
If they
some
get
of the biggest, to get to, yes, thank you, Dan. To get to 8-3, given everything that's taken place with this team, especially the injuries significantly in arguably the 2 biggest spots, it's testament to the players and it's testament to the coaches. It's awesome.
If they get to 8-3, you're either 8-3 and you are atop the AFC West going into the bye, or you're 8-3 and the Chiefs are firmly in the rearview mirror, like firmly in the rearview mirror. Both of those things would be almost a pipe dream when he heard the Rashawn Slater news. 7-4, like, it's still good, still playoffs. Again, I think we've got 61% playoff chances versus 91. Like, there's a huge discrepancy there. Jake Athier with a nail biter prediction, 44-7.
Sounds like the usual blowout prediction by Athier that he gives us every week.
Dang, the Chargers would be like the what year was the Patriots juggernaut season? Tom Brady,
2007.
2007.
Yeah, when they had Randy Moss.
Yeah, that's what he's predicting with no offensive line. Awesome. Derwin gets a pick 6 and a sack, says Brad.
I liked that last one. Wouldn't that be poetic? 27-0 Jags at the halftime, and then 27-30 Chargers when the clock expires.
I hope to God they are not 27 down.
Why would we want to suffer through that? I get the poetic justice there, but why would any of us want to suffer through something like that?
No. 48-21 Chargers. Oh, Athier doubles up. Herbert for 375 yards and 4 touchdowns. Justin would have like 15,000 yards if Athier was right every week. I think Athier predicts over 350 every week. He'd literally have, I'm trying to think, what's 17 times?
I thought he had like 400 for Justin Herbert last week against the Steelers.
But I think that's including the run game. Jake, use your ears.
That's right. That's true. Total offense. Excuse me.
Yeah. Yeah. So Chargers would have, or I'm trying to think, if we had the Athier math, it would be, let's just say it's average 4 touchdowns, 300 yards per. 17 times 4. That's 68. 68 touchdowns for the Chargers quarterback Justin Herbert. And again, I'm just going to add it. I don't know, 15,000 yards passing. 28-20, Forgotten Locale predicts. Girthy guitarist. Herbert will throw for 1,324,401 yards and have 100 touchdowns.
Sounds about right.
Oh,
and he still wouldn't win the MVP, right?
Probably not. I would rather see
what people think about him.
I would rather see the Chiefs, as Charlie, lose.
Yes.
Keep our distance from them. Yeah, I kind of agree.
Yes. Like, I don't want to see or hear anything about the Chiefs for a while. So any opportunity, and they still have big matchups to go through this year. Obviously, Denver twice. They get Indianapolis still on their schedule. I mean, they still have a few tough games that they need to go through themselves. So put as much distance as you can. Don't forget, this was still an AFC West that brought in 3 teams to the playoffs last year.
Mm-hmm.
Chargers, Broncos, and the Chiefs all made the playoffs. Obviously, the Chiefs went to the Super Bowl. But it seems like the way that the rest of the divisions are going in the AFC conference, you could see a repeat of that. 100%.
All I want for Christmas is at least an average Bozeman, says MTZ021.
I still don't even think Santa Claus would be able to pull that one off.
Man. Like
Sorry to say.
He's all right in the run game, but dude, like pass protection, it is just like, can we just use our eyes for a second and try something else? Like, please. Sorry. Let's see. Peter says we control our own destiny. Dark Star, I want the Chiefs gone from the playoffs. Go Denver. Me too. Me too. Yes, Eddie. Apparently I'm a fake fan. Whatever that means. Mac88 asked the question, did you hear those bum media people say if our offensive line was so bad, Herbert wouldn't be doing so well?
How do you take a bad statement, bad segment from a show and make it worse?
I missed this, honestly. What was this from?
And this was, again, from First Things First. You heard the comments that Nick Wright made earlier this week about the Daniel Popper tweet, saying that it was a tweet. And I cordially responded back to Popper when he said, I'm happy to come on the show and explain my stupid tweet. And I basically said, well, unfortunately, you can't convince stupid people, which is a stupid narrative that they're trying to drive here for Justin Herbert. But then it wasn't even Nick Wright making this comment. It was the other co-host on the show. So it's like, wait a minute, just let Nick Wright bury himself continuously. You don't need to join in on the fun, because literally the comments that they made regarding Justin Herbert and his offensive line, because once again, they were trying to make a point to say, this is what Justin Herbert's doing with one of the worst offensive lines in football. And the responses that came out literally did not make sense.
No.
Like verbally, like if someone told you that 2 + 2 = 86, that's what it sounded like. It did not make any sense whatsoever.
I mean, again, people are telling on themselves, honestly. That's okay.
It's fine. Every network needs someone like that when it comes to generating buzz, generating comments. We've seen it before. We've seen the Skip Baylesses of the world. We've seen the Emmanuel Ouchos of the world. Fox Sports 1 for a long time was littered with those guys. Literally down to some of their last hope as it relates to certain comments.
Chris Concepcion. I would love to see Popper on that show. Give it back to him. Yeah, Popper would absolutely flame that group. That'd be fun. Jake, got a lot here. We didn't do bull prediction yet. Real quick, what's your bull prediction?
Ooh. I'm going to go defensive side of the ball on this one, Dan. I'm going to go defensive side of the ball because I think that's where you have the most potential for a lot of guys to do something. I'm going to say this is a 3-sack game for Tuli.
Ooh.
3-sack game for Tuli, who's just been on the come up over the last couple of weeks. He's at 8 sacks already for this season. And again, he's benefited so much from Khalil Mack and Odafe Oweh. But given some of those tackle issues now for the Jacksonville Jaguars and their best offensive lineman not being able to play in this game, I think you're going to see some of those exotic fronts from Jesse Minter and how he's going to deploy him, whether it's by stunt or whether it's by Tuli just simply beating him off the edge. I think he's going to get to Trevor Lawrence 3 times.
Mm-hmm. I like it. I would love to see the defense just absolutely flame Jaguars from start to finish. It'd be great. Get a repeat performance of what we saw against Pittsburgh. It'd be fantastic. There was a comment here. This could be the MJ revenge game or motivation game for Oronde Gadsden. Love to see it. I'm going Keenan. I think it's the Keenan game. I think he heats up. I think he gets something like 7 receptions for 86 yards and a touchdown for Keenan. Give it to him. TNT. 6 sacks total. Hat trick predicted. Forgotten look. I was asking, is Acho still unemployed? I don't know.
You can find that one out for yourself.
I don't know. Jake, we are at the end of this. We've got 430 folks in here on the live show. Awesome show out for a Saturday morning. Love to see it. Jake, any parting words before we jump out of here? Big, huge, pivotal, monumental, whatever euphemism you want to use, matchup
We said it at the top of the show. The playoff percentage swing for both of these teams with a win or a loss is huge. I still think that Jacksonville is going to play this game tougher than what anybody would expect it to play. I think they're desperate right now because they know what their playoff chances are if they lose this game. And again, just given how they played last week, they don't want another repeat performance, especially at home. But the Chargers have all the motivation and all the weapons they need to win this game. So I think it'll be closer than what many think, given the circumstances. But I still think the Chargers come out victorious, make it to 8-3, and go on to their bye week.
Yep. I think both of us have a win here this week. Would be pretty impressive. Again, huge, tough stretch after this bye week. I should say after the Raiders week, but still. This would be a massive, massive achievement if they can get to 8-3 going to the bye. Hanan Derry, good pod. Am I the only one who likes Ted Bozeman? Yeah,
I wouldn't say he's the only one, but he's probably in the minority. Probably in the minority.
I will never forget, Eddie, I'm glad you brought this up. I will never forget on that primetime game when you saw the ticker thing across the bottom of the screen showing the PFF rankings for the Chargers offensive line. And it was, and that completely put to bed every single doubter of if this Chargers offensive line is the worst in the NFL. Given its current situation. Again, I'm not talking fully healthy. I'm saying given its current situation.
But apparently it still hasn't convinced other people.
Fake news.
It doesn't matter, apparently, to anybody.
Yeah. But, I mean, it's true. Like, it's true and it's sad, right? Like, again, run blocking, different story, but pass protection is just bad. It is just bad. Chargers, Jags, Sunday. Just get a win. By any means necessary. By any means necessary.
Yes. Find a way.
Let's find a way. Let's find a way to get through today with as much caffeine and sleep and naps.
You need a lot.
Godly. Thank you for putting up with me, folks, in the chat. Appreciate you guys. If you can do us a favor, hit us up with a like and subscribe. Phone a friend, tell a friend. We've already had, again, 436 folks here live with us right now. It is incredible. Appreciate all of you on a last-minute live show.
Literally last minute.
Yes.
Like up at 1:30 in the morning last night creating the stream last minute.
But we did it, Jake. We did it. We're here.
We did it. We're here.
We did it. Look at us. Look at us. I need the bottle.
I promise to get more sleep for the next one, honestly.
Me too. For Jake, I am Dan. This is Chargers Unleashed. We love you all. Appreciate you all. And let's go Chargers. Hopefully we get a dub and talk about it on a Victory Monday. Crossing fingers. But until then, we'll talk to you next time on Chargers Unleashed.
BJ's Wholesale Club makes holiday hosting so easy we called in Thanksgiving's original host to talk about it.
Pilgrim here. We could have used BJ's back in the day. Imagine stepping off a boat, then foraging for your first Thanksgiving. It's a whole new world now. BJ's brings Thanksgiving right to your door with free same-day delivery on your first order of $100 or more. We're talking turkey, squash, pies, all at prices so good they'll knock the buckle right off your hat.
For terms, visit bjs.com/Thanksgiving and get the same great savings online as in club.
This is the story of the one. As a maintenance supervisor at a manufacturing facility, he knows keeping the line up and running is a top priority. That's why he chooses Grainger. Because when a drive belt gets damaged, Grainger makes it easy to find the exact specs for the replacement product he needs. And next-day delivery helps ensure he'll have everything in place and running like clockwork. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.